So, Halo Infinite just got revealed yesterday, and let's just say that my relationship with this game has gone from being excited and hopeful to just complicated, let's just say. This sort of mirrors my relationship with Modern Warfare as a Call of Duty fan, in the sense that I basically straight up divorced that bitch for 7 months straight, and then now we're trying things out again for a second time within the last few weeks, especially on Warzone, because that shit's fire. But that's besides the point. This is about Halo Infinite and how hopefully I can discover enough hope to not want to divorce this bitch too before it actually fucking releases. So, first let me talk about the footage that was shown, the gameplay, the thing everyone's been waiting for, the thing that we've been cock-teased about for fucking 2 years straight, with 2 trailers and fucking Mega Block leaks. We finally got something. 8 minutes of footage to open up the Xbox fucking Games Showcase, whatever it's called, the 2020 event. The, Mom, can we please buy E3? We already have E3 at home, son. E3 at home, Xbox Game Showcase sort of thing. You get where I'm coming from. So, we see footage of it, and overall, I actually think it's good. I do like what I'm seeing overall. I have issues, but overall, I'm definitely enjoying what I'm looking at. Mostly. Here's where the problems come in. First thing, the thing Twitter's been just roasting this fucking game for, as well as Reddit, just anywhere on the internet as of now, the graphics. Craig is best Halo character. And you can't convince me otherwise. Best lore, best origin story, and on top of all that, best meme. This thing has blown the fuck up. All over. Go on Twitter, look up Halo Infinite, guaranteed, half the fucking tweets you see, it's just this. And it's great. I love this. And I'm pretty sure that 343 employees love this too, because this shit's fucking hilarious. And it's so creative the way everyone's just turned this into, like, monkey meme, use this for videos. I saw a 30-year-old boomer variant. It's great just how much variety's come out of this. This is just one of those memes that's the best of its kind, where it's not forced, it's just, it's so unique and stands out so well in the context that it appears in, that when you see it becoming a meme, then you're like, shit, there's so much I can do. But that's enough praise of the meme. 12 out of 10. Infinite out of 20. Anyways, so, yeah, the graphics, everyone's already gotten a detail about that. They're pretty doo-doo. They're pretty shit at times. They definitely look good at points, at other points, but for the most part, in a lot of ways, they look pretty shit. But thankfully, 343 confirmed it's an older build of the game. So, what we're gonna see in terms of multiplayer footage in the coming months, whatever that means, that's vague as fuck. I'm gonna get more into that, though, later on, don't you worry. I have some words for that. But 343 said that it's an old build, so thankfully there's nothing to worry about with that, hopefully. I mean, the campaign trailer definitely shows improvements, just going off of that alone when comparing it. A lot of people have been comparing both side to side, and it definitely shows. There's a lot more detail, like there's a lot more rust and scratches and such on the pistol that Master Chief's holding, whatever it's called, I don't remember. But while it is good that they were able to confirm it pretty quickly, at the same time it's like, why the fuck would you not just clarify this before the reveal? Why would you not let anyone know beforehand? Like, if this is just an E3 build that was obviously meant for E3 2020, but with E3 2020 getting canceled for obvious reasons, it had to be pushed back here. You should have clarified that. You should have let us know about that beforehand so that people could have lowered their expectations as to not be as disappointed as they are. Had you just been transparent about it like you should have been for the last fucking year, then this wouldn't have been a problem. Maybe it's because going into this, like, they were worrying, if we show them an older build, even if we clarify things, they're still gonna critique it because it doesn't look up to snuff. It's like, yeah, some people may have done that, but most people are going to be understanding. Like, as fucking stupid as humanity can be, especially this year because of everything that's happening, you know, Karens, you know how they are. It's like, yeah, some people, but for the most part, people would be mature and intelligent enough to understand, okay, it's older footage. We get it. But that's all I wanted to say about graphics. Moving on to the gameplay itself. I have some mixed feelings about it. I'm not gonna lie. It looks fun. Don't get me wrong. I think that, at least in the context of the campaign, it's fun. And it makes sense that sprint would be a thing in campaign because the game's gonna be semi-open world. Like, we're not exactly sure of how open world it's gonna be just yet. I think Alanah Pearce did say what exactly they're going for in a video she uploaded. So, I guess it's gonna be Ghost of Tsushima-esque, which I guess that's fine. You know, that's sort of what Sucker Punch did with the Infamous series too. I'm just hoping that when it comes to the side content that's gonna be in this game, since with it being somewhat open world at least, it's no doubt gonna have it. I'm just hoping that the side content that they put in is not filler garbage, and it's actually substantial and has good progress and you actually gain something from it. Because an issue that a lot of open world games have, especially in recent years, considering so many open world games feel the need to be at least 200 hours worth of content, because for some reason developers and publishers think that quantity equals quality, which is completely untrue. So I'm just really hoping that Halo Infinite avoids that issue altogether and has side content that's actually meaningful and fun to get through. It is, and isn't just tedious and just padding for the sake of being there. But I think that everyone was expecting some form of an open world mechanic to this game because it's been hinted at for quite a while, as well as leaked and rumored that Halo Infinite would be open world in some way, and how Halo 5 was originally going to have open world elements to it, but shit was just too limited back then because of the old engine, I think. But now in Slipspace, they can pretty much do whatever they want, which I'm really hoping that they show that off, because with this being the flagship title for the Xbox Series X, and what is meant to be the console seller, you really would think that they'd really want to show the graphics off a lot. Just going back to that real quick, I know what I said about not having much to say, but I do want to say this real quick, because it was something that was on my mind going into this video. If you're going to show off your killer app for your next generation system, make it fucking look good. You constantly boast about your console's power and just how good games can look. Fucking show it off then with the game that's meant to sell the damn console then. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a dumb consumer. At most, I'm an armchair developer, bro. You can't critique without being an armchair developer, bro. That's how shit works, bro. Unless you're a game developer, you can't critique, bro. Stop hating, bro. Just be positive. You fucking pussy. But that's besides the point. Excuse me, I'm thirsty. That was a lot to say. Alright. Let's fucking continue on. But yeah, back to the gameplay itself. I do think that, at least in the context of campaign, it's gonna be fun. It looks fun. It definitely looks like Halo, but with a few new things added, at least I would say. And the art style really adds to that too. Like, this is straight up Halo. Sure, it's not perfect. Some shit here looks just straight up bad and lazy. But I'm gonna say that has to do with the build of the game. And that a lot of what they're doing in like the Forerunner structure that we see that just looks like Minecraft, as people are saying. I think it'll definitely look a whole lot more detailed, if that's how you want to put it, when we see newer footage of the game, which will probably happen with the multiplayer if I were to assume when we would, unless we get another campaign preview, but I digress. But things like sprint and all that, like the grappling hook too, I get the feeling all of that's going to work completely different. Like the grappling hook, for example, it's already been confirmed that's going to be an equipment in the multiplayer similar to how equipment's handled in Halo 3. So, I'm not worried about that. So long as it isn't too overpowered, then I think that will be good. As for how sprint could be handled, I feel like maybe there's the possibility that they'll change the way it works. Like, it'll be a power-up that you can get in the map, like maybe one person per match can get it for like 30 seconds. Or maybe it'll just be built in as a standard mechanic. Like, as of now, who the fuck knows, but I'm gonna be a bit more cautious going into the multiplayer reveal than I was with the campaign reveal, and I'm just going to assume that sprint's going to be a standard. Same with Clamber and the other few abilities that returned, aka not aiming down sights. Fucking, it's not aiming down sights, you're just zooming into your weapon much more clearly. It's fucking aiming down sights, so it's good to see that 343 was very aware about that. And something else I want to say about sprints and other mechanics real quick. I see a lot of people using really condescending straw man arguments about how older Halo fans don't want sprint in because they don't like shit evolving and they don't like change and all that. Let me make something very clear because I think there's a lot of miscommunication, let's just put it. It's not that older Halo fans don't like innovation, it's the fact that Halo, within the last 10 years, has tried to innovate so hard that it's ended up fucking completely failing in every single way. Like, if evolving in the way that Halo has been for the last 10 years has been such a good direction for the series, then why the fuck is Halo 4 and 5 nowhere near as popular as Halo 3? Why is it that with Halo 5, they always bragged about how popular of a game it was, but never revealed actual statistics showing off how popular it is? And not only that, but for those that don't know, Halo 5 never had a player count. I think it did in the beta, but it was removed for the final game. So how can you say that it's a good direction if the series stopped being so popular and honestly became completely irrelevant for at least a good 5 years? Like, yeah, there is definitely a few good things to come out of Halo in the last 10 years or so. Halo Wars 2 is a perfect example of that. That game is fantastic. It's easily my favorite Halo game since Reach, or maybe even 3. But there's also been a whole lot more downs in the last 10 years. Halo 4, while it was a fucking banger at first that was completely popping off in the first week, after that, like a month in, the shit was completely dead. Halo the Master Chief Collection, the original launch, was one of the worst in gaming history. Halo 5. Its campaign got critiqued for being complete trash, and the multiplayer launched with barely any content. And as a way to make up for that, they decided to release free DLC in the form of content that was already there at launch in previous Halo games. Like, even Halo 4 had the decency to have Forge at launch. And there's so many more I could name. Just other small things like Halo 2's launch on PC just 2 months ago, or how people critiqued Combat Evolved Anniversary for ruining the art style and atmosphere of the original. Just small shit like that too. So it's not that people aren't accepting of new shit. Like, reinventing a series in the way that, say, God of War 2018 did is perfect. That game was fucking brilliant. So there's nothing wrong with innovation. It just has to be done in a way that makes sense for that series. If a series has a reason to innovate and change, and the way that it goes makes sense, then by all means, innovate it. If it needs to innovate, if it needs to change, fucking go right ahead. But if the formula works, and really all you need to do is just realistically just slightly improve and maybe add a bit more to that working formula, then stick with it. The formula in the first 3 Halo games was fucking perfect. Like, honestly, I think that had Reach and Onwards just taken Halo 3's gameplay and just improved upon it a little bit here and there, and maybe made some changes here and there to the sandbox and formula, I think that Halo, throughout the 2010s, would have still continued being as popular as it was during the 2000s, if not more popular, because while the Master Chief Collection doesn't have record-breaking numbers of something like Warzone, for example, at the same time, it still does have somewhat of a player base, and the most popular games on there all being at least 13 years old. Like, the fact that these games can still have this level of popularity over a decade later should speak volumes about how much classic Halo works, and just how timeless that format and formula will always be for the series. Again, giving a few improvements here and there is fine. There's nothing wrong with freshening shit up a little bit for newer installments to keep up to date with modern technology. Just don't go too far off in a different direction that it becomes something that people don't recognize as that same series. You know, identity crisis, it's something that happens a lot in the gaming industry. I mean, you could make the same argument for the COD series, from Advanced Warfare to Black Ops 3 to then Infinite Warfare. So while I don't hate the direction that Halo's gone into since Reach, personally I loved Reach, and I thought that Halo 5's multiplayer overall was good. It really wasn't Halo, in my opinion. Just in my opinion. But it definitely was a good shooter. It definitely was a fun time. I definitely sink some decent hours into it. But if I had to choose between classic and modern Halo, I'm going classic all the way, because yes, Halo 5 again is fun, but just going back and replaying Halo 2 and 3 again on the Master Chief Collection on Steam, it's like, it's amazing how well these games still hold up. Even Combat Evolved, sure, it's a bit bare bones. It definitely feels not as fleshed out as other ones, but that was the first game in the series. It wasn't even supposed to have a multiplayer, so the fact that something so basic and what was just a few developers fucking around still works almost 20 years later shows just how amazing those games were and why so many people loved them, and just why people appreciate these games still so much all these years later, why people are still playing them. Again, the fact that there is so much hype for them on Steam, and the fact that they still have somewhat of a small player base, just anything, that says a lot. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's not that people are against innovation, it's just, even though it does make sense for Spartans to sprint and all that, considering they're super soldiers, at the same time, it's perfectly fine to just leave that to the lore shit. You know, like the comics and the movies and all that, and the shows. It's just in the games, you gotta have that level of balance, which sprinting for a game like Halo, with an arena shooter, it just takes away from that. So, that's really all it is. People just want a well-balanced game, and a game that still feels like the series that they love. Again, that's when it was at its most popular, so... But hey, that's just me. Although I have heard rumors here and there about how the multiplayer is apparently going to be Halo 3-esque, with shit like sprint just being an ability. But we'll just have to wait and see. We will just have to wait and see for when we finally get more footage. And hopefully when we do, it'll be good. And it'll really put a lot of people's worries to rest, because aside from the controversy revolving around the graphics and just the game not looking as impressive as it should, because honestly, they definitely should have used a much better part of the game, I feel. Like, at least something with a set piece. Just something that screams, this looks fucking badass, and I can't wait to play this level once I get the game myself. But something else I definitely want to talk about is just the worry about the rumors that were thankfully put to rest about the multiplayer possibly not being there at launch. It's good that this was clarified, don't get me wrong, but it's understandable that people were worried. I've already listed the plenty of examples of ups and downs that Halo's had within the last decade, so that right there is a reason for people to worry, because for a lot of people this is Halo's last chance, and any little thing that may come off as a red flag for this game, people are understandably going to worry. Because again, this is a lot of people's last chance for the series. A lot of people see this as third time's the charm, and hopefully it'll pay off. And a lot of older Halo fans hating 343 is something I definitely don't blame them for. It's like, when you've grown up with a series and you've been with it for so long, just seeing it change in a way that you don't view it as that series that you know, it's like, I get it. I really do. I'm someone who's grown up with the series myself, so I can understand that. I personally don't hate 343, but I do get where they're coming from. And I also get where fans of Halo 4 and 5, the really big fans, come from too, because these games did bring in some new fans, no doubt. Like, they definitely appeal to a different audience, so even though these games definitely are nowhere near the most successful games in the series, at the same time, they still did attract new audiences, which did lead to the fanbase becoming as divided as it is. Like, say what you will about people complaining and bitching and moaning, but at the end of the day, it's still 343 who decided to continue on in the direction that Bungie had introduced in Reach. So if anything, they're to blame. Had they not gone into a completely different direction, it wouldn't have led to a division in the community. And when I think back to a game like Halo 3, I think it did a pretty great job of splitting up casual from competitive. You had the social playlists, then you had the competitive playlists. So, I get it. I get why they changed it. Whether it be because they felt the need to change the series, whether it's because they wanted it to be more unique and stand out from Bungie shit so it's not as compared, which in the end does the opposite. Or maybe it's because they were trying too hard to appeal to a different audience. I don't know, but clearly the audience is there for that different style, and I get where they're coming from. So while I do mostly blame 343, at the same time, it's understandable that you could blame fans too. But overall, I do like what was shown. I really enjoyed the writing. I thought it was very on point, and that little bit of writing in the cutscenes alone was superior to Halo 5 in every single way. I like the art direction. Sure, some things, again, are not perfect, but for the most part, I like what I'm seeing. It definitely looks like Halo. It's not completely old school Halo, but I definitely do get enough vibes from the OG trilogy to consider it old Halo, for the most part. I really love the music that we heard. I think the soundtrack's going to be fantastic, and they've really found their footing with that. But overall, I definitely am a little bit disappointed compared to what I was hoping for. I really wanted to be mind-blown. I really wanted to be excited. Again, this game, it's meant to be Halo's last chance. It's meant to be the ultimate return to form. The return to what Halo once was, and why people loved it so much in the first place. And having 5 years of development, as well as a new fucking engine, the Slip Space engine, as well as being the flagship title for a brand new next-generation system, as well as being the first Halo to launch with a console since Combat Evolved, there was a lot of hope and anticipation going into this. And it's like, looking at it, it's like, yeah, it looks good, but I don't get the vibe of something that's meant to sell a console. It's like, I'll just get it on PC anyways. Like, it's on Steam, so nothing to worry about for me. So yeah, I like it, but going into the multiplayer, I'm gonna go in more with a mindset of hoping for the best, but expecting the worst, because I do definitely think sprint is probably going to be a standard mechanic of the game, which, I mean, if they manage it well enough, then hey, that's great, but it's definitely not going to be classic Halo, because so far it seems that's what they're going for, marketing this as a classic Halo, a return to form, and if it's not completely that, and if it doesn't feel enough like that, then people are going to be disappointed and feel very misled. But that's all I wanted to say. I like what we saw, but I'm going to go in with very tempered expectations for whatever else it is we see, which is probably going to be the multiplayer, whenever the fuck that is. It's like, they say it's coming in the coming months, but we're only like 4 to 5 months away from launch. So is it like in August? Probably not. September? October? November? Maybe we'll finally get a reveal after the game launches. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, it seems like we're gonna still be fucking beta testing this thing after it releases, because, like, it is gonna be a games as a service title. Like, I don't get what they mean when they say it's not a game as a service game, but it is a platform. Like, if it's being supported as a platform for the next 10 years, then it's a fucking games as a service. So look out for there being a shit ton of microtransactions. I'm just gonna say that right now, especially if the game turns out to be free to play, at least the multiplayer aspect. If the multiplayer turns out to be free to play, just go in expecting a shit ton of microtransactions. Like, I know that's being negative, but I'm just trying to be as realistic as I can. Don't go into it with too high of expectations, but hey, that's just how I view it. You can go in as hyped as you want to. That's perfectly fine. Or you can be even more cynical than I am. Just keep your expectations a bit tempered is all. That's all I'm saying. But realistically, I think that there actually would have been one way for this to please everyone. I think that all Phil Spencer needed to do in order to really hype everyone up for this game leading into the launch of it, I think that all he needed to do was come up and say, with the power of Xbox Series X, the possibilities for Halo are truly infinite. That right there would have fucking won everyone over. Absolutely, 100%. Everyone would have been completely hyped for the game. And you can't convince me otherwise. But that's all I wanted to say. I just needed to get that all out, because this unfortunately isn't the video I wanted to make. What I wanted to do was make a video just praising the shit out of this game, because I was very excited for it. I was really looking forward to it, and I just wanted to make a video just gushing all about it, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. So hopefully the multiplayer will be different. I'm not betting on it, but hopefully. But that's all I wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, then make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe for future content coming soon, and I will see you all next time. But until then, I'm out. Later.